Welcome to another episode of the Bank Free Blueprint Podcast. Today I have with me Ryan Pineda. Welcome, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going, Tom?
Good. Thank you for joining me here. Today we're going to be talking, I'd like to check in with you a bit about, nutrition. First of all, this is a real estate podcast typically, but with real estate, there, like any other business, there can be days where it's a lot more stressful, days where it's really busy, days where, there are so many more urgencies in life, and we tend to get caught up in a lot of things. And so with that, there's the stress, there's foggy mind, kind of the lethargic feeling sometimes. There's, all of those different things that really affect our effectiveness, basically. And so the reason that I thought it would be interesting for us to chat was, well, first of all, you've had quite a bit of training in the nutrition and health field. You do coaching for groups and for individuals and that type of thing. But what you and I had worked together, maybe this might be about close to a year ago now, and you helped me out with learning some things about nutrition and like daily practices, everything from breathing to the types of foods that we eat and whatnot. And so I thought it could be really beneficial for listeners, because everybody, regardless of what profession we're in, or even if we're not necessarily in a profession, we're retired, whatever it might be, health and nutrition is so critical and so important. So thank you for jumping on the call with me here. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah. So maybe could you just describe a little bit about some of the, maybe we can start out with some of the things that you find within the work that you do that there are, that can be simple things that listeners can do to change, to help bring themselves up a notch or two. And I know you and I have gone over some of these. And so could you just maybe describe when somebody comes to you, what is some of the first advice you give? What are some of the takeaways that people walk away with?
Okay. Yeah. Like kind of like the step one when someone's first starting out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do work with a lot of people that are busy professionals type people and entrepreneurs, and the guys in sales and stressful type jobs. So usually they're on the typical American diet, and they're starting to notice their health is not where it used to be. They're maybe in their 30s now, their 40s, and they're noticing that they're not bouncing back as fast, from going out at night or on a night on the town, or their energy's lower. They're getting the brain fog. They're maybe some excess fat, getting a little belly, that type of thing. So what I usually typically in the beginning for most people is a big one is is smoothies. So what's good about the smoothies is even if you don't like the taste of greens or vegetables, what's cool about a smoothie is you can load it up with a ton of greens and then throw some good tasting fruit in there, like a banana or some blueberries, raspberries, mango, and blend it up, and you got a really good tasting meal, and which is really a salad. Just blend it up, and you're getting all the absorption because it's blended up, and the blender does all the chewing for you. So then it's going in, your body's absorbing it real easy, your digestion is getting into the cells. So that's a good start for it's just an easy way to get highly nutrient dense food in your body in a way that tastes good, and it's really easy to make. It takes 2-3 minutes to make a green smoothie. And I have recipes online, and you can also find there's so many videos out there on YouTube and Facebook on really good recipes.
Yeah, so just while you're on that particular topic, I had this was maybe a couple of months ago. I had done, and I do somewhat regular little videos or Facebook Lives or whatever. And I did one on the smoothie that I put together, just sort of as practice, because I wanted to get better at being in front of camera and feeling more comfortable with that. So I figured I have a blender or a Ninja blender in my office here.
Uh-huh.
And it was a Saturday morning. I thought, well, I have all the makings for the juice. Why don't I just flip a camera on and show what I do? And that video, and it's really just, I mean, there's a little bit of talk before that I share the video of the smoothie process, but that video got more views on it than almost any of the other videos. And so to me, that told me that there are a lot of people that are looking for that type of information. And I mean, not that this is that many, but this one had, I think, over 2,000 views, and it wasn't even about work so much. And so that's part of what actually made me to think of having you on as a guest was the benefits of being able to do things like that. And in this case, I do like the banana, the spinach, the chia seeds, or I do the Organifi powder in mine. I do coconut oil and avocado, and so with all that, and quite a bit of spinach, and so with all that, like you said, it almost turns into a salad. But when I do that, I like this morning, I haven't done it yet, but I'll start out my day with making that. I've got a small refrigerator here in the office. I'll make it, and I'll have a late morning smoothie, and then early afternoon, and then maybe towards the evening or mid afternoon. And because I have made it one time, it's so simple and so easy. I don't need to leave the office to go to a restaurant for lunch or anything like that. And so it just becomes really handy and easy and simple. So just to what you were saying, it can be a very simple way of getting all of the nutrition and nutrients that we need. So,
and it shows you with all the views, you see that people are really looking to make positive change with their health. It's so important. I think it's the most important, because with health, as your health gets optimal and, everything gets better, it's not just losing weight, energy. I mean, there's so many different benefits. And that's why I do like the smoothies, because there's so much variety you can do. And as a guy that never used to eat vegetables or ate salads ever, all through my 20s, this was a really good way for me to start incorporating the greens in my diet. And I think really that, especially the dark leafy greens, the green superfoods are really the most important thing that for humans to consume. So this is a really easy way to get them in, and it tastes good. It tastes a lot better than a typical salad. You're put a bunch of fruit in there, some hemp seeds to make it kind of creamy.
Yeah.
And I get creative. I now I'm putting tons of different superfoods in there, and there's so many different superfoods out there that you can get into that have different benefits. So it's a 5-minute super meal.
Yeah. Can you describe what you consider superfoods, or what category, or what are the types of foods in that superfood category?
It's a big category. A lot of stuff that maybe you wouldn't just typically buy in the grocery store, like in the vegetables and fruit aisle. These are foods that like herbs, like medicinal mushrooms, like a cordyceps, a lot of different like Chinese medicine type herbs, or different types of sea vegetables like chlorella, spirulina, which you wouldn't really see in the spinach aisle, but you can buy it in a dried powdered form. So they're really easy just to add to your smoothies. Maca is another good one that I tell people a lot of times in the beginning, because it helps get away, or at least cut down on the coffee. If you're low on energy and you're drinking lots of coffee, and your adrenals are spent, you can start adding a little bit of maca, which is a root. It's a powder that you buy it in powdered form. You start adding that to your smoothies, or even just hot water, and it can help with energy. So there's tons of different superfoods out there, and each have their own little specialties and what they're good for the body. But typically it's something that you wouldn't just necessarily buy in the vegetable aisle. You get them in a powdered form.
Okay. So let's go a little bit down the path of why is it so hard for people to make that shift into the healthy lifestyle? What are some of the things that that cause people to have such a challenge making that leap, or what some people would feel is a big leap to go from certain foods into something that we all know, or most everybody believes is a lot healthier than other foods. Any thoughts on any insight as to why people why we do what we do?
Yeah, the big part of it is the mindset and our habits that we developed since we were little kids. We've all been eating this way since we were 2 years old, 3 years old. So those habits are in our brains, and it's very hard just to get away from that overnight. Especially for me, I used to eat typical American diet, lots of hamburgers and fast food and microwave dinners, typical guy type thing. And but it was stuff that I was eating from being a little kid, macaroni and cheese, or just that, lots of sweets, cookies, cakes, brownies. Every day I would have some kind of sweet. I would have to have like a cookie or a brownie. And it was, like I said, because I was doing that since I was a little kid. So the big part in the beginning, and what people need to start working on, is breaking the habits over time gradually. I never like to put people on like a diet where they just, eat only a certain way for a certain amount of time, because usually they'll just go right back to the same habits after 60 days or whatever. They'll just go right back. So it's more of a gradual change in your whole lifestyle gradually. So then it actually gets in the brain. You create you slowly get rid of the old habits and start incorporating and building new habits that are actually good for your body. Then once it's in and you've created this habit, it's just who you are now. So it's easy. It's not like you're on a diet and you're suffering. I don't even think about lots of the food I used to eat years back. It doesn't even come into my mind anymore, because I've literally changed the way I think. Food and all that.
Yeah. I've had somewhat similar experience to that too. That it's a slower process to get to that point but it really ingrains the habit. It reinforces each time you do it a certain way. It reinforces it to stay as more of a habit. And so I've definitely found that too. One thing that I've also come to realize, which I didn't know was the case at one point, and that is how, for instance, let's take sugar and how addictive sugar is, and the fact that it's more addictive than cocaine, or at least that's what it's been told to be, and that it perpetuates the need for more. It just and by gradually pulling away from that, and eventually getting to where sugar is a very small piece of one's diet, the craving goes down so much more, and it's a slow process, but once it happens, it can be really good to be able to get to that point where one is not always craving a cookie or craving chocolate. Although I do have to say chocolate is still my favorite, but I'm pretty good at staying away from it most of the time. So
yeah, and chocolate's not too bad if you do it the right way. There's definitely, you have different tiers of chocolate, so you can definitely get chocolate the right way. The main thing with the sugars, it's not really fruit. A lot of people are afraid of fruit. If you're eating fruit, that type of sweet is good. And of course, don't overdo it and try not to eat too much fruit at night. But the main thing people need to be careful of and start to gradually cutting back on is the refined sugars, the white sugar, the processed sugar. So, and that's the one that people are most addicted to,
right.
That's a big, and then also just, I see that, and especially with me personally, was just being confused about how to be healthy. I think a lot of people are just, there's so much information out there, and everybody's trying these different diets, and they're just not really working on figuring out what's right for their biochemistry, for their body. And they don't even know what to do and how to, so a lot of people I think are confused. And so that big part of it is just getting the knowledge. Once you have the knowledge and you figure out what works for you, that's going to make things a lot easier. Then it's just about creating the habits over time.
Yeah.
Embedded in the brain.
Yeah.
And when you start feeling really good too, gives you that incentive to keep going.
Yeah, right. One thing that has always, growing up on a farm, I had there was always 3 full meals. There was lunch in between those 3 full meals, once in the mid morning and once in the mid afternoon. But that was doing a lot of work growing up on the farm, and so that sort of habit of needing 3 meals a day was something that I lived by well into my 20s and even 30s. And over time, I've really come to realize, for me, and I think everybody's body is probably different, but for me, I've come to realize that the less that I focus on, oh, it's noon, it's time to eat, versus, oh, that's right, I'm hungry, let me just eat something just enough for what I'm hungry for, and not eat because it's mealtime. That to me has seemed to work out quite well. I mean, there are a lot of days where I really only have 1 meal a day, but then I've substitute in the smoothie, which is really, I can't say that's not a meal, but it's spread over time. That tends to work out quite well. And so some of those habits, do you have any thoughts or any particular way that you advise the people that you coach or help out as it relates to meal times? And yes, I agree with family, especially, that it's great to be able to sit down and have meals together at regular, consistent times. But I also believe that eating just for the sake of eating, rather than because one is hungry, or another thing I like to kind of think about is, did I earn did I earn my way to be able to have that next meal? Did I work hard enough for it? So if I'm being lazy and hanging around on the couch all day, which I haven't done that for a while, but if I was, then I don't feel like I'm necessarily earning the same as if I'm busting my tail doing something else. So
anyway. Keeps you motivated, right?
Yeah, right. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so like with the meal times, I really try to embed in my clients' heads is that to think of food as more as fuel instead of just pleasure or something to do when you're bored, or just if you think you're hungry. It's fuel. It's like gasoline. So first off, if you're putting the best fuel in your body, you'll notice over time you're not going to need as much. You won't the cravings go down. You'll just feel more satisfied throughout the day and all that. If you're getting the right nutrients and minerals and vitamins and eating really powerful food, you're definitely not going to need as much. And also, like most people, I used to eat 3-4 meals a day. I'd have breakfast at 7 a.m., typical 8 a.m., lunch at 12:1. But what I like to teach people, and what I've noticed myself that really is beneficial, especially for fat loss, but it also has tons of other benefits like, energy and cell rejuvenation, is fasting the morning. Like it's like it's called breakfast for a reason. You're breaking your fast. So pushing it out a little bit, gradually pushing out your first meal or your breakfast, instead of maybe doing 7 or 8, typical, like most people, maybe try 11 or 11:30, 12. And at first it might feel a little weird, but you might feel hungry, but you'll notice how after 2-3 weeks, you start getting, your body adapts. And what's great is you'll start using more of any excess fat for energy in the morning, especially if you exercise in the morning when you're in a fasted state. Or even, you can even have maybe a vegetable juice or something, just really avoiding a meal, like a full meal, pushing it out later.
Sure. There are some people, and I believe this too, but there are some people who say that drinking a lot of water early in the morning, or drinking plenty of water throughout the day, obviously, but also especially in the morning. Do you have any thoughts on that, one way or the other?
Yeah, definitely in the morning, because typically when we wake up, we're dehydrated, and it, just water makes you feel good, gives you energy and all that. I don't think people should be over consuming water throughout the day. Drink when you're thirsty, but definitely in the morning when you first wake up. I always do at least 24 ounces of water, sometimes more. I'll even put a lemon juice squeeze in there, and you'll notice that'll definitely help too, pushing your first meal, your breakfast out longer. And then that's a good first step, because you don't even have to really even change the food you're taking in. Just push the meal out later, and maybe don't eat so late also, you know, the general rule is about 3 hours before you go to bed. So keeping your meal times in a bubble,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're fasting during the rest of the time. And you'll notice, like I said, with energy will get better. Weight loss, if you're looking to lose weight or lose fat, which is actually more important, is the fat loss. So that's a good little tip and first step,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people can try.
Okay, great. You mentioned minerals and vitamins. Just a real quick example here. My first business was one of my first businesses was a landscape nursery, and what I did, and I don't remember if I shared this with you, Ryan, but I had done some testing, and I had quite a few acres of trees that I would grow, from smaller seedlings up to large shade tree plants that could be sold and put into landscaping.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a test with just nitrogen, potassium, phosphorus, like the macronutrients, but then on some, and I did another test with the micronutrients, which is it's very similar to what a person needs. I mean, the micronutrients versus the main core things that are needed. And I found that with the micronutrients and with equal amounts of water and everything else being equal,
Mm-hmm.
the ones with the micronutrients did a lot better. They grew faster. They were darker green. They were just a healthier plant overall. And
Mm-hmm.
so that is what convinced me that having the right balance or the right intake of things as it relates to minerals, vitamins, those types of things, I think can be really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
When you are coaching, helping people out, are there certain ones that you think are more critical, or are there certain ones that help? I know you said things like the maca root. That's not necessarily a vitamin or a mineral, but that's one of the ways to boost energy. And are there things from a mineral vitamins perspective that you recommend that can over time help build the energy and the focus and more clarity of the mind and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. That's the main foundation, is the getting to the root cause. And to get to the root cause of things, you really need to get focused on the nutrients, the micronutrients. Minerals are a biggie that I see a lot of people have issues with low in minerals, and a lot of that is because the food is lacking. It's mineral deficient.
Mm-hmm.
The soil is very mineral deficient, and the plants are babied. The roots don't go deep, so they're not getting the full blown minerals that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if you go back 300-400 years ago, that they would have in them. So we're seeing a lot of especially in America, that
depleted soils, which actually, funny enough, ties right back into what the experiment that I did in the nursery, and so I can definitely attest to that.
Yeah, and minerals we're made of mineral. We need minerals; it's very important. And you'll notice as you start getting your minerals on check, and you start incorporating more, power, or minerals in your diet, or supplementing minerals, or eating the foods that are mineral rich, you're going to see cravings go down. You're going to see better brain function. You're going to see you won't be necessarily as hungry all the time. Energy, just full gambit. Even your skin starts looking better. So minerals are huge. It's a biggie. Also, in vitamins as well, and not just taking a multivitamin. It's better to get it from food. So as you start taking in more quality food, your vitamin and mineral intake is going to go up. And I definitely see huge improvements with that, especially with the cravings. Usually people that are craving sweets have some type of magnesium or mineral deficiency. So,
okay.
That's a big one.
And so magnesium deficiency, that makes me think right away, well, just take a magnesium supplement or find some food with magnesium in. First of all, I guess I would ask, is there a certain food for that? And second of all, is there some way of getting, without someone needing to really get in and dig and learn a lot and really kind of spend a lot of time trying to figure this puzzle out? What do you advise people from a macro level of being able to bring that level of improvement that they're looking for without having to spend a ton of time and having to spend all this time researching and whatever. So,
yeah, for minerals, especially greens are good. Dark leafy greens, organic is better, or if you can get them at a farmer's market, those are typically loaded with minerals and micronutrients, phytonutrients. Seeds like pumpkin seeds and almonds, especially organic, raw, are really good for minerals. That's from a food standpoint. Oh, another one is sea vegetables like dulse or seaweeds. Like dulse is a seaweed, chlorella, nori. Especially you want to always buy them raw because they're dehydrated. They taste better that way. But then when they're raw, they still have all the enzymes and nutrients intact.
So like the raw seaweed that you buy in the little boxes, that's dried, right?
Yeah, dried is great. Just make sure it's not overheated and cooked. Roasted is what you'll see a lot of times, and that's what you want to avoid. You want to really go for the raw, dehydrated seaweeds. A dulse is a great one. It's loaded with minerals and nutrients, and the soil is still good in the ocean. So these sea vegetables are really loaded with minerals. So that's a good one from the food standpoint. You could also take a mineral supplement. There's a lot out there. Calm is a good one for magnesium.
That's a powder, right? If I remember it, CALM, Calm.
Yep. It's just pure magnesium, and it's really it's easier for your body to absorb it.
But take what is it, a half a teaspoon or something like that?
Yeah, it says I think a teaspoon is 350 milligrams, but I usually have people start a little less at first, and then kind of work their way up. But that's a good one just for the magnesium. You could also take trace mineral supplements that are like in a little dropper. Drop it to your water. Especially, I like the ones that are from ocean-derived trace minerals.
Okay.
So that's what you're doing. You're getting a whole full gambit of different minerals. Shilajit's another powerful superfood that's been around in the East for thousands of years.
Can you spell that one? Because that's one that I am that you've shared with me, and do you remember how to spell that one?
Yeah, it's SHILJIT, I believe. Something.
Yeah.
I mean, if you type that into Google, it'll.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Well, like around there, SHILAJIT. Yeah, I'm not the greatest spelling. I gotta write it down, but that one's loaded with minerals. I think it's about 85 different minerals. It comes from the Himalayan mountains, where the mineral-rich soil. So that's a good one just to get the blend of all the different minerals. Comes in like and you just kind of put it in your tongue, or you can add it to a tea or whatever.
Okay. And then how about as far as, so let's say we're doing the minerals, we're eating, we're bringing our intake down a bit more, or eating better meals, maybe spaced out better, all of that. What's the next bit of advice that you would give someone who's looking to make, even if it's a small step, something that can be done relatively easily at first and maybe build up to something greater further down?
And you mean for just health in general, or weight loss, or?
Yeah, I think, you pick either health in general or weight loss. I think, earlier we talked about breathing and things that can reduce stress, but let's start with weight loss, and then maybe go.
Then maybe I can give you something on the stress thing. But for the weight loss, like I said earlier, the meal times are big. Then that way you don't even have to really change your diet in the beginning. Just taking in the bubble of time. It's called like intermittent fasting is a popular term for it, but really you're just eating for a certain amount of hours during the day, 8 to 10 hours. And then the rest of the time you're fasting or drinking water, or maybe taking a little bit of superfoods or something. But that's a biggie for weight loss. Also, another good one to lose fat that I see, or especially with Americans, is because we eat so much wheat and bread and, bagels and granola bars, cereal. Everything's loaded with wheat, and wheat, typically when it goes in, it becomes sugar, and then that converts into fat. So if you can gradually start cutting down on the wheat and the wheat flour, I always see really big improvements. I usually have people work on that in the beginning, because then they start losing weight, they get more motivated to try it. The problem is it's very addictive. Everybody is addicted to wheat, So it's, just gradually start cutting it back. I see when people want to just cut it out completely, what happens, and then they'll binge later on it, and they'll eat a whole pizza or something. So it's better just to start being more aware of it, start reading the labels, seeing, is there wheat in this? Like a lot of things, especially when I started looking into this, I didn't even like cereal, for example, I thought it was healthy, and it's just loaded with wheat and sugar and corn syrup, typically, the most common cereals, the popular brands out there. So read labels, really pay attention to if it has wheat, but bread especially, that's a biggie. Start looking for alternatives like gluten-free options. Usually the gluten-free just means they're not using wheat, they're using some other type of grain like rice flour or millet or quinoa, and it's getting a lot easier compared to years ago when I first started looking at this to now. I mean, there's so many options now with the wheat-free type foods, pasta, bread. You can get it all with some other type of grain, like gluten-free type thing, So that's a biggie especially for the fat loss, the weight loss.
Okay.
That's a good, easy way to, get it, kind of kick it into gear.
And other than sort of the mindset and the discipline and all of that it takes to stay away from it, is there any other like something to replace and I'm assuming it's because of the carbs. It's the craving for the carbs. Is that right?
Well, it's a bad carb. It's not like fruit where you eat some blueberry, you're getting good energy and your body's assimilating it into
so energy. Finding the difference between a good and a bad carb. Really.
Exactly. You just want the wheat is just becoming sugar, and that's becoming fat in the body. So it's you want to look for alternatives. Like I said, a good transitional stuff is the gluten-free stuff. But even then, that's not necessarily healthy. Over time, you even want to get away from that and do more of the real good carbs like vegetables and fruit. That's why the smoothies are great, because then you're getting all your good carbs from the smoothies and feeling that energy. It's filling you up. But it takes time. It's like with anything. Over time, your cravings will go away as you're making the lifestyle changes and all that. I mean, for me, for example, I used to eat bread at every meal. Like literally, I was for sure addicted to it. And I noticed lots of benefits with myself in the beginning when I started cutting it down. When energy went up, I used to have a really puffy face, and that kind of started going back to, my jawline started coming back, started losing fat in my belly, midsection. But so those, you'll definitely can potentially see those type of benefits as you start cutting it down.
Okay, great. And so then what was the second thing we were going to talk about?
We're going to talk about the stress, a little tip on stress relief. That for me was big too, because I definitely used to be very stressed out, and I was I was in a very high stressful sales type job. So for me, that was a big, what really, what helped me in the beginning was meditation. I started meditating first before really anything, just 10 minutes a day. The most simple one is just breathing and paying attention to your taking deep breaths in. You can even hold maybe for 4 seconds, then let go, and then release the air, hold for 4 seconds. Again, just kind of really focusing on your breath, and that gets your mind away from all the other chatter that's going on with your day. So in 10 minutes isn't, if you could do that twice a day or even once a day, you're definitely going to notice benefits. And there's different types of meditations, but that's an easy, simple one that people can do right away. Just close your eyes, sit down, try not to lay down because you might fall asleep. Close your eyes and just focus on breathing and taking in deep breaths, really getting that oxygen going, which also helps with relieving stress and helping your body relax. So you're getting both sides.
Yeah, well, meditation. Meditation to me initially just sounded way too. It sounded like too much of a commitment before I used to do it, and even to the point where I would start it and I'd try to get my mind and get just right, everything set just perfect, and then commit to the 10 minutes a day and all of this, and I realized what I was doing is just putting way too much effort into the fact that all I'm really doing is allowing myself to be settled and allowing myself, my brain to slow down and to have the wheels slow down a bit more and just be there and just breathe. And so once I realized that it wasn't some magical way of doing it or a perfect way of sitting or a perfect way of doing something, it was more just a matter of finding the best way for me to totally calm my mind so that there's less going on up there. That was really helpful for me. So I don't know if that's something that you advise or not, but for me, that was really helpful.
Yeah, I know meditation is awesome, and it gets better. Like with anything, the more you, at first, people notice that they feel kind of like anxious and they're thinking, and that's okay. You're gonna have thoughts and all that. The main thing is just you have a thought and you're aware of it, then go right back to the breathing. Just keep going back to the breathing. And the more you do it, you're going to notice it's going to start feeling better. You're going to, just get more relaxed. It's going to get easier and easier. And there's lots of benefits too. It's like recharging your batteries, is what it's doing. So it's great. In the morning before you start your day, you could also do it maybe on a lunch break. Just a quick little recharge, you'll notice you're thinking clearer and, more focused. You'll get production will go up. So there's lots of benefits to it.
And how about even just the breathing piece of itself? Skip the 10 minutes of meditation.
I do both. Really, honestly, I like to do both, and I have my clients do both. You do the meditation if you have time for that. If not, maybe you're just at your desk and you feel like you're in that fight or flight. Your stress levels are high. Breathing is amazing. Just oxygen. I tell everybody that's the number one superfood there is, and it's free. It's even better. Of course, it's better if you go outside, maybe if you're in an office, go outside for 2 minutes. But you can even do it at your desk. And all you're really doing is taking deep breath in, either through your nose or mouth, really big breath in and just kind of letting it go, and then another, and just really just focus on the deep breathing. If you could do 20 of them, 30, that's great. And you'll notice, people really notice the effects. You start your body stress levels come down. You feel relaxed. You just feel good. You feel better. So it's an easy, free way to get some stress relief and get your mind functioning better and get away from that fight or flight. So 30 breath, in and out, and then you can even there's techniques out there where you'll do 30 breaths and then you just let all the air out and just hold. And then you take a big one in and you hold it in. And that's really good for releasing tension, like taking a breath in and just like kind of squeezing, as you're holding the breath, because it's relieving tension. So that's a good one. I'll do that sometimes when I got a lot going on and just want to get back to, focus. You'll notice definitely with production and going up and stress going down.
Nice. When you're working with clients, either individually or let's say it's a company that you go in and work with a group of people. Are there any certain things that you have found sort of consistent as a result of like maybe people just not even doing that much, but that making that next step to really being to getting closer to where they really want to be with a more relaxed, less stressed life?
I have people when I'm teaching especially in the office settings and the groups, the meditation, I even tell people if they can do 3 minutes of it, that's great. And then to incorporate the breathing. I also have people look into certain supplements that are really good for relieving stress. Like magnesium is known for helping a lot of times when people are magnesium deficient, they have more anxiety and are more stressed out. So that's a good one to try on, try right away. And also just getting people to understand that the situations that cause stress, they're always going to be there. It's how life is. We're going to have events, things. So it's just more about learning how to deal with it in a better way, in a more positive way. So then you're not hurting your body. Stress literally is the worst thing for the body. It's like the number one killer. It's worse than any fast food or out there. It's so stress is really important and relieving the stress is really good, is important for health. And
And it's kind of like a cycle. You eat better, the stress reduces. You get better that way. You eat worse, the stress increases, and it just.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a cycle either this way or in a positive way.
Like so many things in life. If you were to say maybe one resource, one favorite book that you, and let's say that it's either to do with health and wellness or even not, is there a certain book or a certain resource that you think has been really helpful to you, that I always like to have something for the listeners to be able to maybe go check out? So anything that comes to mind?
You mean like a book? Or
like a book or yeah, a book or yes, a website or anything like that where, I mean, for instance, some people say Think and Grow Rich is a really good one. Or some people say that Rich Dad, Poor Dad is, just a resource that if somebody's looking to learn more about, and I would say in your field, that probably would be something in your field, but.
Yeah, anything with just if they can look into, I'm trying to think of like a good website. I mean, I look at so many different things, but a good websites, especially to start looking into recipes, would be like paleo recipes. Paleo is good because it's recipes without the wheat, and no sugar also. So it's food. They call it paleo because it's stuff we used to eat, when we were cavemen type thing. So I like the paleo recipes, especially in the beginning during the transitional time. So they can check out paleo recipes, also smoothie recipes, smoothie videos, learning how to make quick smoothies. So you make it and you take it to the office, or even have a blender at work and making these, 5-minute meal. So those are good. And, and then what really is important is just figuring out what, you're trying to experimenting, seeing when you're trying these new foods and new things, seeing how your body's reacting to it. If they're feeling good and lots of energy, then hey, I'm going in. This works for me. And if you feel maybe bloated, or you get the gas, or you're feeling very tired, lethargic, then maybe this food isn't the best thing. And writing it down, whatever you ate, so you can kind of start figuring out what's working and what's not.
Okay.
So that's the most important thing, to really figure out what works for your body,
and to learn to be in tune with our body and listen to it.
Exactly. Really pay attention. I don't think people do that enough. Just really pay attention to your body, especially when you're trying new things and seeing how you feel,
Okay, great. Now, if any of our listeners or viewers would like to reach out to you, get a hold of you, if they have any questions, is that something that they're able to get a hold of you for?
Yeah, I have a website is pinedahealth.com. There's a contact page. They can even set up a 15-minute free consultation with me. If they go under I have a page for my different programs. They can get a general idea of different programs, and they can schedule a call for me for free, about 15-20-minute consultation, and see if we'd be a good fit for that. And it's Pineda Health, PINEDA health.com. Also social media, Facebook, Pineda Health, Instagram, Pineda Health. I do lots of videos and give tips on different aspects of health and how to get energy, stress relief, recipes, that type of thing. YouTube is I was over YouTube. It's under Ryan Pineda, if you just type in my name.
Yeah.
And I also have if you want to, you can maybe put the link in the description. If they're interested, I have a PDF download that has my favorite top 10.
Oh, cool.
And it's a good way to, if you've never really looked into this type of stuff, it makes it a lot easier, because I went through hundreds and hundreds of different superfoods and supplements trying to figure out what was really good and powerful. And so I put my top 10 favorite superfoods list. So it's a free download.
Great. That sounds good. And one thing you and I were talking about a little bit before the call too, and that was when I was doing my smoothie video, I mentioned that I use the Organifi powder, which is an organic protein powder, and just for the record, I don't get any kickback or any spin-off on it, but I do believe in the product, and I do believe that it really keeps it helps make things really simple. And the fact that we know that where the source of the protein powder, and that it is organic and all of that. And so that's one of the products that I think has been good. They also have a green juice and a red juice and things like that. And so they are good. They, at least for me, were good shortcuts. And so I believe that you have we both know Drew Canoli quite well. Good friends with Drew, and Drew is the owner of Organifi, and he's been he's been super helpful to a lot of people in helping them change the way they eat, change the way they see things, not only from a food perspective, but from just general healthy living overall. And so Organifi, we'll put that in the show notes. We'll put the link for Ryan. We'll put the Organifi in there.
I can also give them a discount if they use my name, RYAN. They get because I buy it so much myself, and for clients that I have a discount code that they can.
Very cool. So
Organifi is great because it's especially the green juice is really cool because it has 10 different superfoods. So it's all in one. It's really easy. Come in little packets that you can take to the office or a little container. You just add it to water and you have an instant superfood green. So it's a really convenient, and it tastes good too. It tastes really good.
Yeah. And for a lot of these things, the simpler we can keep it, the more likely we are to stick with the habit of doing it. And that's why, for me, having the blender here right across my desk and the refrigerator, and it makes it really super easy for me to do it. So,
nice.
So we'll have the information in the show notes. So if you're driving, don't worry about writing it down. It'll be in the show notes. And as always, if as listeners, if you're viewing this or if you're listening to this, make sure you let us know if you like what you're hearing, if you like the information we're getting you. Would love to hear that. If you have any suggestions, any ideas for ways to make it better, even I'd be super happy to hear any sort of responses that could make this even a better podcast. What our goal with it is really to help everybody do better by collaboration, by working together. It's more of the abundance mindset of there's so much out there for everybody. And if we all help each other in whatever ways we can, everybody ends up doing better in the long run, and it's more fun. It's just more profitable, more good for everyone. So that's our goal, and I think that's about it. So Ryan, I really appreciate you taking the time, and thank you for the great information, and looking forward to catching up with you again soon.